Hello, everyone. This is Dan Gramza, and welcome to dangramza.com Market Studies for Monday, February 2nd. What an interesting day. If you haven't seen these videos before, this is a daily chart that you're looking at in a candle format. The concept is a swing trade, which means you're trying to capture pieces of this market movement. When you see a green line, that represents a buy level, red line, sell level, dashed lines means it's something that happened prior in the week. And these lines are dynamic. They move up and down. And at dangramza.com, you can watch past 10 years or more and look, and you would see, if you go back just a few weeks ago, how these green and red lines changed. These are not buy and sell recommendations, but just ideas I'd like to share with you. If you're not familiar with futures, to give you an idea of the magnitude change here, the difference between this buy level and that sell level there in the S&P is $2,400 a contract. Now, what do we look for here? The bias actually is for a move to the upside, and that is what I'm looking for on Monday. I'm not looking for additional selling. An inside day to higher is what we're looking for. Can those buyers follow through? How about what we're seeing here in the NASDAQ market? Different story, but I'm looking for an inside day in this market. Oh, dollar difference here, just to give you that reference, is $3,540 a contract. And what about, oops, let's go down one more. There we go. Look at the difference that you see here in the NASDAQ market. Isn't that different than the other indices? Because it is a different index. It does have a different makeup. It doesn't have the tech stock loading that you see in the other indices. And look at these shadows on the bottom. That's what those lines are. I think it represents buying. They're buying the break, they're selling the rally. Overall, this is a neutral trade. It implies a sideways move. Monday, I'm looking for buyers to come into that market. Well, what about the Russell, the small to mid caps? Again, behaving differently. In this market, look for an inside type day. Red candle, yes. Selling, yes. Big, strong move, no. So I'm looking for an inside day. What about the currencies? Ooh, here's the euro. That means if this line is going down, that the euro is getting cheaper. The US dollar is getting stronger. And that's what we're seeing over the last couple of days. A stronger US dollar. Dollar difference buy to sell level in that market's $2,562.50. What do we look for here? I'm looking for further movement to the downside, but not a big move on Monday. Look at the Swissy in the same boat. Doesn't it look like the euro? But it's really a different market in terms of where it fits in on the currency market. Buy to sell level in that market's $4,150 a contract. Again, just to give you a reference for that dollar change. Over here in Mr. Yen, dollar difference by the sell level is $1,762.50. Further movement down, yes, but a big move, no. And Aussie dollar sweet I should say, selling came into this market, traded below its sell level, but it closed above it. So that means if we were a seller here, that trade is losing money on the close. It's against that short position. Dollar difference buy to sell level in that market, $2,590 a contract. Well, what about the British pound? Dollar difference buy to sell level looks similar, doesn't it? Is 2,800. No, it's not. It's $1,856.25. Follow through, yes. Dramatic move, no. What about our friends in Canada? What we see here, a difference, the buy to sell level there. is $680 a contract. Further move to the downside, possibly, but look for an inside to only slightly lower movement on Monday. Bitcoin, ooh, has it gotten low enough to find buyers? Well, that's what this implies. And can we get some movement to the upside? Well, if they're here, look for an update on Monday. 10-year notes, that tells us something about interest rates and the yield. The yield was up, and then the yield came down, and the yield came down as buyers came into that market. Look for follow through to the upside. 30-year treasuries, on the other hand, look for a sideways move in that market. I'm not looking for a big day up or down. It does imply follow through to the upside. Now, let's move on over. Did we do? Oh, that was our 10-year notes. Yes, we talked about that sideways move. Here are the bonds. And again, you see a bouncy lows. They're buying the break in this market. It did trade above its buy level. Dollar difference. Sell to buy level there, $406 a contract. This buy level, that dash line to that sell level, is $625 a contract. Ooh, look for a sideways move here in that market. How about gold? Holy Toledo. Look at yesterday, balance formation, and we're seeing a change in market direction. I said I was looking for an inside day in that market. This is more than an inside day. Dollar difference buy to sell level. And again, this is just for a reference. $49,800 a contract. What do we look for? Not the same kind of move. Look for an inside to slightly lower movement. Same thing in silver. Look at this thing. It fell out of bed. And the dollar difference, that dash line you see here to that sell level, is $53,750 a contract. Again, don't look for another big day down. Copper. I like this movement here. I think there's a lot of supply in this market. We have a few different things here. $1,500 is the dollar difference here, and a dollar difference, the buy to sell level is 3,500, and the difference between the sell level and that buy level is $1,000 a contract. I look for an inside day on Monday. Ooh, interesting, isn't it? Now, check out crude oil. This traded just a few cents below that low, and it closed back up. So that means if we were a seller here, that only went a few cents in our direction, and it's closing against a sell position on the close. So that sell failed. And the dollar difference buy to sell level in that market, $2,380 a contract. Dollar difference down here, $270 a contract. Look for it. That's a potentially bearish setup, so be careful there for Monday, but I'm looking for an inside day. Over here in that gas, it's firming up. It makes sense. We got some cold weather in the United States, so we expect further movement to the upside in that market. Beans, well, dollar difference here in the buy to sell level, that was $750 a contract. I do look for weakness in the bean market. We got a lot of supply out there. And if we think about what's happening in South America with their planting and the way things are moving there, a downward movement wouldn't be surprising. Corn, look for a sideways move. Wheat, same thing. Look for a sideways move. Dollar difference here, $550 a contract. Well, those are my thoughts for today. Thank you for joining me. Look forward to being with you again. And as always, take care.